The transport shuttle Meridian descended through Valkyria's crimson atmosphere, its hull shuddering against alien winds that tasted of copper and ozone. Captain Marcus Stone pressed his face to the viewport, watching the planet's surface resolve into Focusa world of obsidian mountains and cities that looked more like weapons than settlements. First time seeing a Valkyrian world, Lieutenant Torres asked from the pilot seat, her hands steady on the controls despite the turbulence. Marcus nodded, studying the approaching spire that dominated the horizon. The crimson spire stretched impossibly high, its blood-red surface gleaming like a drawn blade against the amber sky. Diplomatic briefings don't do it justice. Nothing prepares you for Valkyria, Torres agreed. These people don't just live for war, they worship it. The shuttle touched down in a designated landing bay carved directly into the spire's base. As the engines powered down, Marcus checked his dress uniform one final time, ensuring every detail was perfect. This mission could determine the future of human-Valkyrian relations. 3 months of negotiations had led to this moment. Formal trade agreement that would benefit both species. The airlock cycled, and Marcus stepped onto Valkyrian soil for the first time. The gravity was slightly heavier than Earth standard, and the air carried an exotic spice that made his nostrils tingle. Ambassador Korath waited for them, his towering frame draped in ceremonial robes that shimmered with embedded metals. "Welcome to the Crimson Spire, Captain Stone," Korath said, his voice a rumbling bass that seemed to emanate from deep within his chest. Like all Valkyrians, his skin held a deep crimson hue, marked with intricate tattoos that told the story of his bloodline. "I trust your journey was pleasant." "Indeed, Ambassador. Thank you for hosting these negotiations." Korath's golden eyes glinted with something Marcus couldn't quite read. "Before we proceed to the ceremony, there is a matter of protocol we must address." They walked through corridors lined with weapons from across the galaxy, trophies from countless conquests. Marcus felt increasingly uneasy as they climbed spiral ramps that seemed to wind endlessly upward. "Protocol?" Marcus asked. "The Valkyrian Code of Honor," Korath explained, pausing before a massive circular door engraved with battle scenes. "To earn the right to negotiate as equals, you must first prove your worth in single combat." Marcus's blood ran cold. "I wasn't informed of any combat requirement? An oversight, perhaps? But the law is absolute. No agreement can be made with one who has not demonstrated their courage in the arena." The doors ground open, revealing a vast circular chamber filled with tiered seating. Thousands of Valkyrian nobles filled the stands, their conversations creating a low murmur that reverberated off the walls. At the arena's center stood a figure that made Marcus's breath catch. General Xena Blackthorn was everything the intelligence reports had described, yet somehow more. Her crimson skin seemed to glow with an inner fire, and her hair fell in midnight waves to her shoulders. She wore minimal armor ceremonial pieces that protected vital areas while leaving her arms and legs free to move. Twin curved swords hung at her sides, their edges gleaming with deadly promise. "Behold," Korath whispered, "the Crimson Death, undefeated in 127 duels. She has broken champions from across the galaxy." Xena's golden eyes found Marcus across the arena, and even at this distance, he felt the weight of her scrutiny. She moved with the fluid grace of a predator, every step calculated and purposeful. "What happens if I refuse?" Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then you leave Valkyria in shame, and humanity will never again be welcomed here." Korath placed a heavy hand on Marcus's shoulder. "But perhaps you will surprise us. Your species has shown creativity in the past." A horn sounded, its deep note echoing through the arena. The crowd fell silent, and Xena stepped forward, drawing her weapons in one smooth motion. "Captain Marcus Stone of Earth," her voice carried clearly across the space, each word precisely enunciated. "I am General Xena Blackthorn, Sword of Valkyria, Guardian of the Crimson Throne. You have come seeking privilege among warriors. Prove you are worthy, or die as a coward." The crowd erupted in approving roars, their bloodlust palpable. Marcus descended the steps to the arena floor, his sidearm feeling inadequate against the legendary warrior before him. He'd studied her combat records during the flight. Every victory was decisive. His brutal and swift. But as he drew his weapon and settled into a defensive stance, Marcus allowed himself a small smile. The Valkorians expected him to fight like them, all aggression and honor. They had no idea what human ingenuity could accomplish when survival was at stake. "Begin." Korth's voice boomed from above. Xena exploded into motion, her blades singing through the air as she closed the distance between them. The real test was about to begin. Xena's first strike would have decapitated a lesser opponent. Marcus dropped to one knee, her blade whistling over his head as he rolled sideways. The crowd's roar intensified. They had expected the human to fall within seconds. "Coward!"
Someone
shouted from the stands. "Stand and fight." But Marcus had no intention of fighting Xena's battle. As she spun to track his movement, he grabbed a handful of the fine sand that covered the arena floor and flung it at her eyes. She deflected most of it with her blade, but enough got through to make her blink and step back. "Clever," Xena admitted, wiping her face with the back of her hand. But tricks will only delay the inevitable. She came at him again, this time more cautiously. Her twin blades wove a deadly pattern, each strike designed to force him into a defensive position. Marcus gave ground steadily, letting her drive him toward the arena wall. The crowd sensed victory approaching, and their cheers grew deafening. At the last moment, Marcus planted his back foot against the wall and launched himself sideways, using the stone surface to change direction impossibly fast. Xena's momentum carried her past him, and for a split second, her guard was open. Marcus's energy pistol hummed as he fired a low-power training bolt at her exposed shoulder. The blue energy crackled across her crimson skin, and she stumbled, her left arm going momentarily numb. The arena fell silent. For the first time in over a decade, someone had landed a clean hit on the Crimson Death. Xena straightened slowly, rolling her shoulder to restore feeling. When she looked at Marcus, her golden eyes held something new, not anger, but curiosity. "Interesting," she murmured, then louder. "You fight like water, human, flowing around obstacles instead of breaking them. Water can carve through stone." Given time, Marcus replied, keeping his weapon trained on her but not firing. "Your people see strength as the ability to destroy. Humans see it as the ability to adapt." Xena's laugh was like crystalline chimes. "Then show me this adaptation." Followed was unlike any combat the arena had ever witnessed. Xena attacked with the fury of a storm, her blades creating a whirlwind of death around Marcus. But instead of meeting force with force, he flowed like liquid mercury using the arena's architecture. The lighting, even the crowd's own reactions. To his advantage, when she tried to corner him near the weapon racks, he kicked over a ceremonial brazier, creating a cloud of smoke and scattered coals. When she leaped to avoid the burning debris, he was already moving, using her moment of distraction to score another hit on her thigh. The wound was shallow, but it was the second blood drawn from the Crimson Death. The crowd's bloodlust transformed into something else: fascination. They were witnessing history. "You're studying me," Xena observed during a brief pause, both fighters circling each other warily. Sweat gleamed on her crimson skin, and her breathing was slightly elevated. First signs of exertion she'd shown. "Every warrior has patterns," Marcus replied. "Habits, preferences. You favor your right blade for killing strikes, but your left for defense. You attack high when you're confident, low when you're frustrated. What else have you learned?" "Water fighter," Marcus smiled, lowering his weapon slightly. "That you're not trying to kill me anymore? You could have landed 3 fatal strikes in the last minute, but you pulled them. You're as curious about me as I am about you." For a heartbeat, something flickered across Xena's face. Surprise, perhaps, or recognition. Then her warriors. Masks slammed back into place. "The trial is not over," she declared, but her voice lacked its earlier killing edge. "No," Marcus agreed, "but maybe it doesn't have to end with death." The arena held its breath as the two warriors faced each other. Weapons raised, but no longer with murderous intent. Something fundamental had shifted in their dance of blades, transforming from a duel to the death into something far more complex, a conversation conducted in steel and strategy. Where understanding was the true victory, asterisk enough. cut through the arena's tense silence. She sheathed her blades in one fluid motion, the metallic ring echoing off stone walls. The human has proven his worth. The trial is concluded. The crowd erupted in confusion. Murmurs of dissatisfaction rippled through the stands. They'd come for blood, not philosophy. But none dared question the Crimson Death's judgment. Ambassador Korath descended to the arena floor, his expression unreadable. An unusual conclusion, General. The human still lives. He lives because he earned that right, Xena replied coolly. Captain Stone, you will join me in my chambers. We have much to discuss. Marquess holstered his weapon, aware of thousands of golden eyes tracking his every movement. Following Xena through a private exit, he found himself in corridors he suspected few outsiders had ever seen. Her chambers occupied the spire's highest level. With crystalline windows offering a panoramic view of the Crimson Desert, the space was a study in controlled power weapons mounted like art pieces. Battle trophies from conquered worlds, and books that suggested an intellect far beyond mere warrior instincts. Wine, Xena asked, moving to an alcove lined with bottles. From across the galaxy. Thank you. Marcus accepted the offered glass, noting how she'd changed from the arena's predator to a gracious host. Your collection is impressive. Spoils of war, she said, settling into a chair across from him. Each bottle represents a world that thought itself unconquerable. She paused, studying the deep purple liquid. Until today, I felt the same. Didn't conquer you, General? I simply showed you something different. Xena set down her glass, and for the first time, Marcus saw her without the warrior's mask. Exhaustion shadowed her golden eyes, and something else. Loneliness. Do you know what it's like, she asked quietly, to be feared by everyone you meet? To have your every word taken as law, your every action scrutinized for weakness? Lean forward. Command can be isolating. I've lost good people under my orders, friends who trusted me to bring them home. Sometimes I wonder if the weight of their expectations is worth carrying. Yes, Xena breathed. Exactly that. I haven't had a real conversation in ... years. Everyone either fears me or wants something from me. She stood, pacing to the window. The arena of legends do, you know why I built it? To test potential mates, according to our intelligence reports. Her laugh was bitter. A convenient fiction. The truth is simpler. I was hoping someone, anyone, would prove strong enough to stand as my equal. Someone who could see past that legend to the person beneath. Marcus joined her at the window, close enough to catch her scent, something like cinnamon and lightning. What did you see today? Human who fought not to dominate but to understand. Who could have killed me? Twice but chose restraint. She turned to face him, vulnerability replacing the earlier steel in her expression. Tell me about Earth. What's it like to live without the constant weight of expectation? They talked through the night, sharing stories of their worlds, their struggles, their losses. Marcus spoke of Earth's blue oceans and green forests, of humanity's chaotic but hopeful nature. Xena described Valkyria's harsh beauty. The pressure of maintaining an empire built on strength, our secret dream of exploring distant stars, as the twin moons rose outside her window, casting silver light across the chamber, the distance between them gradually diminished. They moved from formal chairs to sitting together on the wide windowsill, their conversation becoming more intimate. I've never told anyone about my doubts, Xena admitted, her head resting against Marcus's shoulder. The sleepless nights wondering if I'm truly protecting my people or just perpetuating cycles of violence. Doubt isn't weakness, Marcus replied, his fingers gently stroking her midnight hair. It's what separates leaders from tyrants. When she looked up at him, her golden eyes reflected starlight. You're dangerous, Marcus Stone. Not with weapons, but with something far more threatening, hope. Is that so bad? Her answer was a whisper against his lips as she leaned closer. It terrifies me. Their first kiss was tentative, exploratory. Souls recognizing something they'd thought lost forever. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing heavily. This complicates everything, Xena murmured, but she didn't pull away. The best things usually do, Marcus replied, drawing her closer. Outside. Valkyria's crimson dawn painted the sky in shades of fire and promise, heralding a new day that would change both their worlds forever. The emergency klaxon shattered the peaceful morning, its wailing cry echoing through the crimson spire. Marcus jolted awake in Xena's arms, both of them instantly alert despite having slept only a few hours. "Proximity alert," Xena said, rolling out of bed and reaching for her weapons. Something's wrong. Through the crystalline windows, they could see explosions blooming like deadly flowers across the diplomatic quarter. Marcus's blood ran cold as he recognized the distinctive blue-white flashes of human plasma weapons. "That's where my delegation is staying," he said,
already pulling on his uniform.
Ambassador Korth's voice crackled through the chamber's communication system. "General Blackthorn, report to the command center immediately. We have a situation." They ran through corridors filled with rushing guards, reaching the command center as reports flooded in. The main display showed tactical readouts of the attack, a coordinated assault on both human and Valkyrian positions. "Separatist forces," Korth reported grimly. "Both species. They're trying to sabotage the negotiations by making it look like we attacked each other." "Casualties?" Marcus asked, his stomach nodding. "Unknown. Communication with the diplomatic quarter has been severed." Xena stepped forward, her authority filling the room. "I'll take a strike team to secure the area." "Captain Stone, you should remain here where it's safe." "Like hell," Marcus replied. "Those are my people down there. It's too dangerous. If you're killed, both our governments will assume betrayal. If I hide while my people die, I'll never forgive myself." Marcus met her gaze steadily. "We go together, or I go alone."
For
a moment, the command center fell silent. Then Xena smiled, a fierce, proud expression that transformed her face. "Together, then, but you follow my lead." They took a military transport, racing through the city's arterial roads toward the diplomatic quarter. The journey gave them time to plan, their minds working in perfect synchronization as they analyzed the tactical situation. 3 insertion points, Xena said, studying the building schematics. "They'll expect us to come through the main entrance. Service. Tunnels," Marcus agreed. "But they'll have thought of that too." "What about the old maintenance shafts from the original construction?" "Clever. Those blueprints are archived, but I know someone who..." The transport shuddered as an explosion rocked the street ahead. Through the armored windows, they could see armed figures in unmarked combat gear taking positions around the diplomatic building. "Change of plans," Xena growled, checking her weapons. "We go in hard and fast." What followed was a masterclass in synchronized combat. Xena's raw power combined with Marcus's tactical ingenuity created a devastating combination. They moved through the building like a storm, each covering the other's weaknesses while amplifying their strengths. When Xena's aggressive assault left her exposed to crossfire, Marcus was there with suppressing fire and tactical misdirection. When Marcus's unconventional approaches required split-second timing, Xena's warrior instincts provided the perfect cover. They found the human delegation barricaded in a conference room, fighting off attackers from both species. Lieutenant Torres looked up as they breached the door, relief flooding her face. "Captain, thank God. We've been holding them off, but they're using Valkyrian and human weapons. Someone's playing both sides." "Evacuation route?" Marcus asked. "Helping? Tend to the wounded." "Blocked. They've got the whole building surrounded." Xena activated her comm unit. "Command, this is Blackthorn. I need immediate extraction at the diplomatic quarter. Authorization, Crimson 77. Negative, General. The High Council has classified this as an internal human matter. No Volcorian forces are to intervene." The betrayal hit like a physical blow. Marcus saw the pain flash across Xena's face before her warrior's mask slammed down. "Politics," she said bitterly. "They're using this as an excuse to abandon the alliance, so we're on our own," Marcus concluded. "No," Xena's voice carried absolute certainty. "We're together. That's all that matters." They fought their way to the building's roof, where Torres had managed to signal their transport. As they provided covering fire for the evacuation, Marcus and Xena moved with perfect coordination to warriors who had found their perfect partner. "Cover me," Xena called, leaping across a gap between buildings to flank the attackers. Marcus laid down, suppressing fire, trusting her completely. When she signaled, he followed. Her teamwork so seamless it seemed choreographed. As the last of the humans reached safety, an explosion rocked the building. Debris rained down, and Marcus felt a sharp pain in his side. Zena was beside him instantly, her hands gentle as she checked his wounds. "How bad?" she asked. "I'll live." He caught her hand, squeezing gently. "We make a good team, the best," she agreed, then leaned down to kiss him fiercely. Around them, the battle raged, but for that moment, nothing else existed. They'd fought as partners, bled as partners, and now they faced the political storm that would follow together. The High Council chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from both species faced each other across a great circular table. 3 days had passed since the attack, and the fragile alliance hung by a thread. The human was clearly complicit, declared War Marshal Vorthok, his crimson skin dark with anger. "How else could the attackers have known our security protocols?" "Ridiculous," countered Admiral Chen from the human delegation. "Captain Stone nearly died protecting your people. This was obviously a Valkorian setup to justify breaking the treaty." Marcus sat beside Xena at the center of the storm, their hands clasped beneath the tabola, small defiance that hadn't gone unnoticed. Across from them, Ambassador Korath looked tired, caught between political necessities and personal loyalty. "Evidence is inconclusive," Korath said diplomatically. "Perhaps it would be best to postpone negotiations until emotions have cooled." "Postponement is abandonment," Xena said coldly. "And cowardice dressed in diplomatic language," erupted. Vorthok slammed his fist on the table. "You dare call this council cowardly? Your judgment has been compromised, Xena. This human has bewitched you." "Careful," Marcus warned, his voice carrying quiet menace. "That's my partner you're talking about, partner." Admiral Chen looked aghast. "Marcus, please tell me you haven't formed an alliance with the greatest warrior in known space?" Marcus stood, pulling Xena up beside him. "Fallen in love with a woman who sees strength as protection rather than domination." "Yes, Admiral, I have." The chamber fell silent. Both delegations stared in shock as Marcus and Xena faced them together, hands joined, defiant. "This is exactly what the Separatists wanted," Xena said, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. "To divide us through fear and prejudice. To make us see enemies where we could have allies." "Can that be serious?" Vorthok snarled. "A union between species? It's unnatural. Impossible." "Is it?" Marcus challenged. "Or are you afraid of what it represents? The possibility that strength comes not from conquest, but from cooperation." He activated his personal datapad, projecting images into the center of the chamber. "These are the preliminary trade projections our economists developed. Human technology and Valkorian resources could transform both our civilizations. Advances, exploration capabilities, defensive innovations." "Pretty numbers," Admiral Chen interrupted. "But what about cultural contamination? Social disruption? What about it?" Xena stepped forward, her presence commanding attention. "I've learned more about leadership from this human in 3 days than from a decade of warfare. He's shown me that true strength lies in building up rather than tearing down. And she's taught me," Marcus added, "that sometimes you have to fight for what matters. The courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it." Young voices began to speak up from the back of the chamber, junior officers and diplomatic aides who'd watched the proceedings with growing frustration. "My sister serves on a joint patrol ship," called out Lieutenant Nexus, a young Valkorian. "She says human engineers saved their lives twice last month." "I've been learning Valkorian combat techniques," added Ensign Rodriguez from the human delegation. "Their discipline is incredible." More voices joined in stories of cooperation, of friendships formed across species lines. It's the kind of future that was possible if fear didn't triumph over hope. Ambassador Korath raised his hand for silence. "The Council recognizes that. Unconventional alliances have precedent in our history. But this is moving very fast. Some things can't wait," Xena said. "Marcus and I propose something new. Not a treaty between separate species, but a true alliance. It's a bonding ceremony that honors both our traditions." "A wedding," Admiral Chen said flatly. A declaration, Marcus corrected. That fear won't dictate our future. The debate raged for hours, but gradually the tide began to turn. The younger generation spoke passionately about cooperation over conquest. Veterans from both sides shared stories of the attack, how they'd fought together against common enemies. Finally, as Valkyria's twin suns reached their zenith, Korath called for a vote. All in favor of authorizing the proposed alliance ceremony? Hands rose slowly, first from the younger delegates, then from pragmatists who saw the economic benefits. Finally, from warriors who recognized courage when they saw it. The motion carried. By 3 votes, War Marshal Vorthok stood angrily. This is madness. History will judge you all as fools. Maybe, Xena replied calmly. But history will also record that we chose hope over fear. The ceremony took place at sunset in the Arena of Legends, the same space where their story had begun. Representatives from both species filled the stands, no longer segregated but mingling freely, as they exchanged vows. Marcus in formal dress, uniform Xena in ceremonial armor that gleamed like liquid fire. Their words were broadcast across both star systems. I pledge myself to you, Marcus said, his voice carrying clearly through the arena. Not as conqueror to conquered, but as equal to equal, partner to partner. I accept your pledge, Xena replied, her golden eyes bright with unshed tears. And offer my own. Together, we are stronger than either could be alone. The kiss that sealed their union was witnessed by millions, symbol of what was possible when different worlds chose to build bridges instead of walls, as they walked hand in hand from the arena, past cheering crowds of humans and Valkorians. Celebrating together, Marcus couldn't help but smile. So, he said, squeezing Xena's hand, ready for the real challenge, which is spending the rest of our lives proving this wasn't crazy? Xena laughed, the sound like music across the crimson sands. Bring it on, water fighter. We've got all the time in the universe. Above them, the twin moons rose over Valkoria, casting silver light on a world forever changed by the power of love to conquer fear, the courage to choose understanding over conflict. The legend of the Arena of Legends had been rewritten, and the greatest victory wasn't conquest, it was connection.